What's going on, guys? So today on this Master Grade... Wait, no. This is not a Master Grade. It's just an enormous high-grade box. And it is, of course, the HGUC RX-104 Penelope. Penelope. It's the Penelope. The Minovsky Flight System mobile suit. Sure it is. What even is this thing? So we have a giant jumble of parts, kind of, with a Gundam nearby, I guess. And it's from something with a flashing Hathaway person. Still can't wait for the movie to come out. So I can see this thing in action. It is, of course, the Penelope. Hey, it doesn't say Gundam. It's not a Gundam. Alright, so we've got... Technically, no, it's not a Gundam. The thing inside is a Gundam. We got big ass Bandai logo down there. I assume that says Hathaway's Flash up there. And it says 2019 down there. And this did, of course, make an appearance on my 2019 best and worst list. Yeah. Still something in the box. So we come to the bottom at the RX-104 Penelope. Penelope. Dang it. And there it is in the Penelope form with all its great panely goodness. Oh wow, that's tiny print. Parts for shoulder armor can be replaced to recreate open and closed states. Sure can. And different duct parts can be chosen and used. Cool. Wait, what? I don't remember that. And then beam parts can be attached to various sections of the ms. And sensors on the nose have been recreated with clear parts. Okay, various hand parts are included. Flight form. Look, I'm in flight form, mommy. Display base is included. Separation. Equipping. Mega particle cannons can be deployed forward. Oh, they're mega particle cannons now. Cool. Odysseus Gundam. The fixed flight unit. And we go over here. We got HGUC, the largest thing I've ever seen in my life. 229. Penelope. And Bandai Hobby done it. And then come around here to even more stuff. Details. Weapons. Funnel firing ports. Mega particle cannons. Beam sabers. I mean, really, that's all you kind of need to know, right? Beam rifle. Ah, damn it. Alright, so we got a little read up here. It's actually a pretty good size read up. Hold on. The RX-104 Penelope is a mode where the RX-104 Odysseus Gundam is equipped with a fixed flight unit. It is classified as a 5th generation mobile suit alongside the RX-105 Chi Gundam. Which was developed around the same time. The MS was unique due to its capability to achieve independent flight and was considered to be a mobile suit that greatly changed the course of mobile suit operations under gravity. These functions largely depended on the unit, while the Chi Gundam had a different structure that integrated all of the functions of a single mobile suit. So Chi Gundam is just a big bulky thing by itself. No detachable stuff. In addition to the unit, it's said that additional armament known as the Argus unit was developed, but details are unknown. It's also said to be equipped with the Psychomu or quasi-Psychomu unit. The MS is capable of supersonic flight by deploying a beam barrier in the direction of movement, but it requires an MS form to go into flight mode. Oh, so it actually is a deflector shield. That's funny, Star Trek tech. And there you got a big old warning that says, do not stick a 3-year-old anywhere near the Penelope, as they probably are allergic to it. And you've got little guys with a polybag. PS, top cover things, no price on the list, but I got it for $75. Good God, this is definitely the largest, so far, high grade I've done. And, like, I guess, well, in theory, depending on how you look at it, it's also, you know, it's close in size to the GN Arms. Good God. So, this is going to be a heck of a review. So let's get to it. Alright, turntable time. So we're going to start off with the Odysseus Gundam, because it just seems to make the most amount of sense. And, well, I kind of covered it in my best and worst list. This thing is definitely not the greatest HG on the planet. In fact, it's not much of an HG at all. As, you know, I'm going to kind of go over again, probably repeatedly throughout this. This thing really does remind me more of a shrunk down version of an RE 100. And frankly, I think this thing may have started out its life that way, and then they probably figured out the cost would be too much to do something that's large in that scale, so they've shrunk it down without adding a whole lot to it. The molded details, especially here on the sides, in the vents, things like that, as you'll see, my panel lining is not great, and that's because the parts are not great. The panel lines are not crisp, at least not most of them. And I get that this is a Gundam that really has to just have a whole bunch of stuff slapped on it, but it could still be done better. I mean, especially considering its size, which this thing is definitely sizable for an HG. It's probably one of the largest HG actual regular Gundams, so to speak, that there is. So let's get it off the turntable here and check that out. Okay, so I'm going to do some comparisons right off the bat because this thing is ridiculous. So, well, it looks normal-ish. Here's what we would consider a normal HG. You know, good old Gundam. Just for the heck of it. I mean, that's massive, because this is roughly grandpa-sized. And I don't have a whole lot of other, what I would consider tall Gundams, at least not out of HG-sized, but one thing that is important to note, this is a Wing Master Grade. It's taller than a frickin' Wing Master Grade. In most dimensions, it's about the same. So, if you could imagine, the size of this thing in a 1 to 100 scale would be insane. Like, I don't have a 1 to 144th RG new to, or HG new for that matter, to compare to, but I bet, like, there's got to be some kind of size. And given that this thing is supposedly in between the Unicorn era and then the F90, F91 era, you know, the technology is getting bigger, more powerful, so to speak. So it's just like, what the heck? I mean, like, it's just ridiculous. But as it goes, I'm going to zoom in on the head here. And it does have one big ol' sticker for a camera there inside the crest. Got these big yellow V-fins that do move. That is for transformational purposes. Does get some nice little yellow cheek vents in there and big red eyes, which are cool. And he has a chin inside of a chin strap, which is interesting in and of its own right. You know, in some aspects, the head actually looks very wing-like. Oh, that's right, it doesn't really have a rear camera, does it? And it is kind of on a big double ball joint. Head can swivel, move back and forth. Yeah, it does actually need some of that movement for transformational purposes, but for that part, it's good. We come down to the shoulders here. It is a very simple joint. It can spin all the way around. The shoulder armor there kind of kicks up. By the way, big old sticker in there, unless you feel like painting it. And you can raise the arm up that way. It doesn't go up anymore, which is kind of unfortunate. But that's because the shoulders are on a big slide-out joint that does not move. Also, for transformative purposes. Bicep rotation is there. And you do get a double jointed elbow that is slightly awkward, but it does function, which is nice. And you also get some forearm rotation, which is always good. But given the last thing I had forearm rotation, I broke. I'm going to be careful with it. You do get a nice little fist here that's just on a long ball joint, but no real movement there. And you do get these shield, beam saber, hyper cannon things on the arms here that do rotate and do all kinds of stuff. So that can flip out and I guess shoot. I don't know. I didn't realize those were cannons, to be totally honest with you. And then you got a beam saber thing there. So if you have a little beam saber that it does come with, you can just plug it in there. And you got a cool offensive shieldy device, which I like the color separation, if not the actual details that are just not great, if I'm honest. And you do get two of those. Ab crunch is kind of there. Got a little bit of moves up here. You do get waist rotation, Some nice color separation here for the different bits and pieces. Now, it was showing off gray vents for the chest, but I don't know where those are, where those exist. I don't recall those being a thing that could be swapped out, at least not in the instructions. And if you come down here to the front skirts, they look pretty good. Didn't clean that up very well. You also have this little piece that flips down for combination mode later. Hip skirts move up just like you expect them to. And you have ball joint mounted hips, which don't get you very much movement, honestly. You can kick forward about that far for a nice chorus line. And then a big double jointed knee that really just all kinds of space. And due to the way the back skirts move, you're not going to kick back very far. Got these big old pistons here. Not so great. And I think you can, yeah, you can shimmy the hips for all the good it does you. And then you got some nice molded vents and things inside the leg, which are okay, just not great at being panel lined. And the leg armor actually assembles like this, if I remember correctly. Yeah, so they actually use that seam line to their advantage. That's pretty cool. You do get this extra flippy down part, which is kind of just an extra foot prop more than anything. The ankle is huge, so you just got a big ankle pivot up there, big ball joint there, toe point there, and that's mostly for other transformation purposes. And then you come back to the back, you got some thrusters all over this, several holes, giant butt skirts. Just trying to figure out what happened here. How is this offset now? Does that move? Oh, okay. I was like, what happened? The way the body was turned. Okay, so yeah, that's the thing. So these are just on little ball joints that kind of move about. You can do that. They're mostly there to gate things, so whenever you're adding on the parts later, you just have a gate for it. You got a big slide on peg thingy here, and you got some thruster vent there for the most part. But, you know, as the actual Gundam of this set, it's pretty cool. You know, I'm not really offended by it. There's a lot of white. Like, you know, it's until you add the extra bits on that your main color separation comes in. But, you know, as it goes, he's pretty cool. You're not going to get a whole lot out of it. I mean, you could pose it probably a little. Like, if you really wanted it to be having a fight. I guess its advantage is the fact that it can break down to a Gundam where the other one doesn't. Okay, so this is something I was having an issue with. I don't know if I assembled these elbows wrong, but it looks like my elbow joint is reversed. Like, maybe it's supposed to be this way. Yeah, okay. So, I had that elbow backwards, but good thing you can rotate on both ends. So, I mean, it's an okay Gundam for what it is. It does feel super hollow and super lightweight, and you can see it's just very springy. This is another reason I say it really feels like an RE, not like... Even the plastics. The plastics don't feel like something that came out of an HG. I don't want to say they feel cheaper, but they feel lighter, if that makes sense. Now, before we go too much further, talk about a couple extra accessories here. You do got his expressive hands. You got left and right. I'm trying to be careful because I realized my hand was over that moving V-fin. So he can do a solar flare. Yes, I went there. Everybody good? Yes, okay. Set fits aside, and he does have his big old beam rifle, which is dirty. Everything's covered in a little bit of black fuzz. So what's odd is it sort of reminds me of the one from the Freedom in some ways. Just the white and the blue. Big red camera sticker there. Nice little red attachment up here. Just little cool details. I like it. It's perfectly fine. It's perfectly serviceable. And you do get a holding hand with that, which is always good. And I love the fact that you can just swap it out and not worry about it. Now, I don't think there's weapon storage. From what I recall, I don't believe there's anywhere to like tuck it away. There's just it. So, all right. So that's only the first half of this. So let's look at the unit. Okay, so this thing, just wow, it really just kind of looks like a big rooster, peacock thing, and this is its flight unit. It's a fixed flight unit, as I call it, because it's just two F's. And yeah, the idea that it definitely looks like a chicken or a peacock or something is 100%. I mean, look at the head of this thing, where the sensors are, the cockpit, so to speak. It's just ridiculous. And it's not without its flaws. You do have to use some stickers, such as these back here, which are those not so great wraparound stickers. And as you can see, panel lining on it was a bit messy because, once again, super soft panel lines. And this was me doing everything in my power to get this right. And of course, I find out that my marker was dying as I was doing this. So honestly, like, it's not great. Oh, there's another really nasty wraparound sticker here because I wasn't about to waste paint on this thing. Otherwise, the color separation's pretty good between the white, the yellow, and the blue, and the red bits. And this actually is a cool self-contained way to put all of the excess Gundam parts on. And in and of itself is pretty sweet. I'm not gonna lie. It's dumb. It's very, very dumb. But by itself, it's actually a kind of cool thing. It is definitely, to me, it's definitely invoking a lot of the ships they've used over time, just depending on what series. Like, it's got kind of the legged ship look and all the same white, blue, red colors that most of those good Federation ships have that are moving Gundams around. So, I mean, it's a big, impressive, very annoying thing. Now, one accessory, of course, you notice here is the stand. This is one of those old school stands like you got with many old MGs, and it does have the big vertical upright piece. However, this one is specific to this kit because it's a big post, not a clip. You do get the old clip version, but in this case, using a post. Now, just real quick, I want to show that it does have these beam saber things up here on the top, which is fine. You know, who cares? They're just there. Now, let's see here. There's a couple things I could talk about, but I probably won't. But in and of itself, there it is with the Gundam. So, like, outside of scale, like, if you don't put it next to something else, you could easily think that it's some kind of crazy giant spaceship, but it's not. It's a crazy giant add-on ridiculous freaking armor for a Gundam, of all things. If it can go faster than the speed of sound and things like that, cool. That's about all I can say about that. Cool. Now, let's try to get this thing into it's broken down mode. Now, this is something that is kind of complicated, and just bear with me. I know watching me struggle with stuff isn't always fun, but it kind of is at the same time. Just be honest. So, we're going to go ahead and take this guy apart. If it'll let me. Wow, it came off super easy before. Now it's like being difficult. Okay, what's the last thing that goes on usually? Okay, so I'll just go ahead and start pulling parts. So we got this white bit here. We have the foot armors here. Go ahead and pull those off. I'll try to keep somewhat organized here so I'm not looking for stuff later. Oh, that just falls off. That's handy. Yeah, some of these bits are not plugged in super well. I like that they give you this cool like inner frame bit for this, like they do with a lot of kind of mobile armors and stuff like that, big mobile suits. So whenever you have it in alternate modes, you actually have a filler thing. Okay, so that one tabs in super well. That tail is just out of control. I assume that's for, you know, stability at super high in atmosphere, you know, speeds, which by the way, that does go in and out. Okay, where am I at now? Let's go ahead and pull off these and give us more room to work. I'll just slide in there. And like I said, trying to just keep track of the different bits here. Okay, so I need to get this out. which is probably easier said than done, given how hard it was to actually get in there. Alright, it is pegged in to those guys there. Oh, that's one free. There we go. Okay, so you don't need that part for the next bit, so toss it aside. And then we'll pull off this bit. Oh, wait, no, that's a... Yeah, good thing I remembered. I was just going to yank until it came loose. Okay, so now I need this to pull out forward. Then this pulls out down. So go ahead and sort of arrange this. Pull this up and over. Just some movement to that. So, okay, I got to open up the instructions and just make sure the order I'm putting this on is correct. Okay, so we'll bring in Odysseus. Set some of the bigger parts aside that we don't need at the moment. Grab the foot part. Slide the nose in there. Tab that in. Grab the heel part. Tab that in. So now we finally get our red and white Gundam feet, although they're clown-sized. Plug your heel in. Plug your toes in. And we'll just stand them up here. It's going to get difficult in a bit, believe me. Okay, so we'll come in with these guys. You want to put the back ones on first. You've got a tab there that lines up to the back of that calf. Plug that in. I love that it has a thruster that covers up the thruster. It's kind of funny. Okay, so those are on there. And then we need to drop those down. Grab these pieces. You just got a big tab right there. That will plug into the side of the leg. And do the same on this side. Second right there, it just doesn't want to line up. There we go. Okay, so that's the legs basically done. So now we need the... Do we need the front skirts? This is the part that I'm always confused on. Which part goes on first? Okay. So now we'll do this. So this part's already open. You've got a little slot right there that it'll slide into. And then that will tab in elsewise. Hold on, let me lower these. By the way, there's your cool funnels hidden in the front skirt. That's a neat idea. Okay. And then basically there's your big front skirts. And arms are going to become pretty well useless here in a minute. So we're going to go ahead and pull the shoulders out and close up the V-fin. And now it looks totally ridiculous. Anybody else getting kind of a Power Rangers Megazord combo vibe going on here? Okay, so we've got these two posts here that will go somewhere in there. I think these two spots. And then these drop onto the shoulders inside there. So hold on. Oh, yeah. Okay, so these all, yeah. So I forgot these are supposed to be part of that. So you want to reduce it to this piece. I was wondering why it looked the way it did. I was like, hey, that ain't right. And then slide this in to there. And then we'll duplicate the thing on the other side. Alright, like so. Now you take these bits here, and those plug into the extensions for the shoulders. So you go around the head, try to avoid the V-fins, and line up everybody like so. And then that is now, whoop, supposed to be tucked into place. And then that happens. So be warned, you're gonna finagle with it quite a lot. So now you've got the front skirt connected to this area. So it's kind of cool how the way it like layers in a way. Okay, so now we need the big chicken bit and this little white guy here. I'm trying to remember where exactly that goes. Oh yeah, it goes like this. Like that. And I want you to have the chicken head kind of up like that. We need to spin him around. Technically the skirt's already open, so that's good. Okay, and then we're going to install this whole thing. You've got a couple of big tabs here that'll go in little slots there. These will all just line up to different ports and parts up there. You just have to make sure you get through these back skirts and then line everybody up like so. Like so. It's not like sewing. There we go. That time it like sewed. And then connect all that in there. Watch out for the tail. Go ahead and close up your back skirts. That can be used to help prop things up realistically. Okay, so now we want to spin them around. You can see the head sort of lines up with this extra bit back here. Go ahead and close that and bring down the chicken head like that. And then we work on the shoulder armors, which are going to plug back in the same way they came off. So just strap that in there. Go ahead and flip the beam saber part back, and then drop this on there, however you can. Go ahead, you might have to rock that back a bit. There we go. There we go. It's not easy because you got to push down on a thing. It's not exactly a solid piece of anything. Okay, and then if you can, just kind of finagle this in there. Just sort of move these, there we go, to a place that they're surrounding the armor. Let's try that again. Let's do it the opposite way and see what happens. Put the front one on. And then once again, you're putting that post into that hole right there. There it goes. Okay. And then just try to finagle everybody into place and push the beam sabers back. And there we have the Penelope for the most part. Now I did miss one important step, and that is you have to pull out the hips and swap them out. So let's see if I can do this carefully. So that'll stay there. And you swap it out for these hips, which are a bit wider. So, I mean, it's a good thing they did this instead of just giving you hips that would slide apart, because frankly, that would cause issues. And then comes the fun part of trying to reinsert that after all of this. It's going wrong. It's going terribly wrong. Like that. Oh, hey, how about that? The side skirts caved inward. That's new. I hadn't seen that before. Side skirts out. Line up your hip department and cock back in there. And then put the other big fiddly bits back on. Once one of these pops off, it's never going to stay on properly again. So just be prepared to fight it or leave it off for the time being, because I don't care. Because this thing is absolutely stupid. I mean, look at this. I mean, Odysseus was already huge. This thing is now absolutely ridiculous. And this is just its normal, like, Gundam mode. And it, of course, has its other modes down the line, like the full-on flight mode. I'll get to that in a minute. But one thing I wanted to point out, so you do get options, especially right here in the chest. So you can swap out those vents for just these little blue covers. Like I said, I mentioned that on the box, but it was showing it as you could swap out for some gray pieces in the Gundam's chest. That's not something I've seen before. Okay, and the other option is, it's like attack mode, or whatever the heck they call it. You pull off these shoulder bits and move it up a stage, and then you've got whatever that's supposed to be. Particle emitters? I don't know. I have no clue. I think this might be the only parts that have it. I don't think they have it on the back side of the shoulder. I could be wrong. Come back here to look. Maybe. I don't think this does anything. I think this is just a piece holding stuff together, if I'm honest. But as you can see, he's already having issues standing. So, oh yeah, and then that, mine just never wants to stay in. This is one gigantic fiddly thing, so that's why they give you this big old stand to put him on. Like so. And you best believe it's going to live its life on this stand. I'm never going to take it off once it's on display. Because, I mean, even that, it's not quite. There we go. Now it's installed. Good Lord. Look at this thing. I mean, like, it is absolutely ridiculous. It's definitely off balance. Just because of its huge weight, and just trying to do anything is just kind of pointless. I mean, once again, just as comparison, more size, there it is with a regular O Gundam. It's just crazy, guys. I don't have any other good way to explain it. It's just crazy. Now I'm going to take it into its fixed flight form. So this is when he needs to go high speed mode, basically. And I'm gonna try to pop this back on without breaking anything. So here's a nice confusing bit. Oh, look at that, he's listing really bad, go figure. All right, so you want to pick up the head all the way like so. Pull in the V-fins again, and then tilt the head forward as far as he'll go, like that. And then, I'm trying to remember exactly how this bit works. Is this supposed to come down? Yeah, I think so. So this comes down and forward and covers up the back of the head. And then all of this is supposed to rock forward and cover it up. It goes into that cavity inside there, just ever so carefully. And it's supposed to go totally flat, and that is about as flat as it can go. So that's good. So that's the head part. Okay, so the next bit involves the front skirts. So actually, let's move up to the shoulders. So let's straighten the shoulders out. And then we want to pull up the shoulders ever so slightly. Don't go up very far. And you pull up the front skirts like so. Kind of try to tilt them forward as best you can. I think you also move its real front skirts underneath, from what I can tell. And then the backs. Yeah, so you bring up the back skirts like so. And now we're on the rear shoulder armor, which needs to come up basically. So you've got that big hinge like so. Actually, these are facing the wrong way now that I look at it, but you know what? Who cares? Because one mode showed it going one way, next mode showed it going the other way. What are you supposed to believe? Okay. So these you want about as flat as you can get them. And now where are we at? Okay. Actually, now it's saying to flip these forward like that, so they are facing the right way. Okay. Tail comes out, which I've already done. And this part comes down. Then you're supposed to swing the arms backward. So straighten out the elbow, tilt the arms about as far back as you can, which you'd think it's supposed to go further, but it doesn't want to. So it should be back like that, kind of. Let's get the other side. Who's holding the gun? But that's okay. Just tilt everybody with the gun in hand. Who cares? Straighten that out. Tip that off. Jeez. I'll get that later. Okay, so now comes a fun part that I had a hard time figuring out at first. So underneath here, you can see these white tabs here, and you want to pull the legs back and tab them onto those things, at least to the best of your abilities. There. And try to turn everybody, and then flip the toes down. Why that's making a clicking noise, I don't know. It's probably not a good thing. And kind of angle everything back to some degree for thrusting. We're power thrusting. I wonder if I can. There we go. Tilt the stand in a forward motion like that. I think we are done for fixed flight frickin' mode for the Penelope. Good God. I mean, just... that's a struggle. Like, you gotta really want this thing to be in this mode. I think, ultimately, for me, it's gonna stay in just kind of mobile suit mode, or at least battle mode, not flight mode. Because, good God, like, this is an absolutely ridiculous thing. I mean, once again, oh Gundam. You gotta pull back for this. Scooch it over. And there it is with the GN arms, which, you know, it's easily on par with the GN arms, but given its overall size for its scale, it's still totally ridiculous. Scooch that over. One more big comparison. Something that actually is similar in design. The IBO mobile armor, which, you know, body-wise is small, but this thing would easily give it a run for the money. It's the same size as the frickin' mobile armors. Oh, dear God. Like, what are you supposed to do with this thing? Seriously. Alright, guys, so final thoughts. Dear God. I wanted this because I thought it was going to be really cool, and it has some cool aspects to it, but it is such a huge pain. All those add-on parts are a big pain, I'm not going to lie. Especially the tail hanging way out the back. It doesn't really do anything, just kind of there. And it gets in the way. Like, I don't know, outside of being in mobile suit mode, how I'm going to store it, because it'd be too long to even fit in a DTOF. Its size is ridiculous. If you've got space for it, by all means. But I'm going to go ahead and default back to the idea that this thing was meant to be an RE. They realized that the cost was going to be super high, probably close to $200 if I had to guess. That's just a guess. This thing is $75, non-p-bandai, just in HG. And yeah, some of the big HGs do cost that much. I mean, the GN Arms was $60. But it also feels like an HG product, not an RE product. If you built the things, if you handled them, you understand my meaning. The plastic doesn't feel good. When you're assembling it, you can tell that it's just a very hollow, very lightweight feel, not like it has much substance to it. And you can tell that as I struggled through it, some of it is just hard to deal with. Overall, the design is neat, but it's just, wow. Like, hopefully they'll give us a Shi Gundam to go with it to make this one, you know, worth it overall. I assume that given the movie coming out later this year, that they will. And there is somebody who has actually made a full-on custom into the Shi Gundam. They're very similar in design, but not the same. Speaking of which, I need to pick up that little piece that I popped off from the beam saber bit. Then stack that back on. I wish that the details were crisper, and that's the part that really annoys me more than anything. Other than that, it's pretty fun. Oh, I did forget to mention, inside these sensors here, these are wraparound stickers. Also annoying. The sticker sheet is small, but thoroughly crap in and of itself. If you want to paint it and give it better details, by all means. If you can chase out the panel lines and get them a little deeper, by all means. If you've got room in your collection for it, and you need other large mobile suit, mobile armor things, say you have Dendrobium, Meteor, Jan Arms, stuff like that, by all means, get it. If you're just a normal collector, I don't recommend it because it is a giant pain. And there are certain places that I would definitely paint down the line, say inside these little side thruster vents, like in here should be a dark gray behind that yellow. And then even inside the massive yellow vents or thrusters or whatever they are, Plavsky particle funnel areas, whatever you want to call these big ridges in here, I would add some darker paint in there for breakup, or else it just looks like a big yellow blob. Inside these thrusters on the legs, I would paint inside those. I just didn't. I was in a hurry to get this done to make sure that I had it done for the 2019 Best and Worst list. Same thing with a few other small thrusters that are up here. Just a few things here and there that could use some gray paint and some detail. I feel like this thing didn't quite get to 100%. I feel like it was wasted out somewhere around 70%, and they just kind of went with it to get it out in time. And the stand, while great, is super freaking wobbly. Like, if you can make it work, make it work. But for me, the big Rooster Gundam thing, I don't know that it was worth my time. But it definitely taught me a thing or two. I'll say that. But guys, give me a big old thumbs up if you like this thing. If you have any other issues that I had, let me know. If you had separate issues, let me know. And of course, if you're hoping for a Chi Gundam to come out later, also drop that in the comments down below. And of course, hit that subscribers button if you are new, if you want to help support the channel and keep things moving forward, since I did have to actually turn off my targeted ads to try to be more compliant in case silly kids are watching my stuff. I would definitely appreciate anyone who could throw some money my way on Patreon. And of course, you'll see things early. Like, they knew that I was working on this way before anyone else, you know, because they got to see the unboxing. And by the way, I was in there, I just pulled this up. So they actually did paint gray inside here on the thing. So if you guys have ever wondered, like, look at the cool painted shots of the finished kit in the booklets, and you can usually get a good idea of what other extra details you need. Just as I said, those thrusters inside there are gray. I'm trying to get a shot at the back of the legs. Yep, those are gray. So I was right. I was just saying that I would do it, and turns out you should. So there you go. But I will catch you guys on the next review, and remember, as always, to keep on building.